Hello, I'm Colin Goldberg, and it is Wednesday, June 8th. Welcome to the Techspressionist Salon number 45. And today's topic, suggested by Michael Price, is and beyond, kind of in the spirit of our current exhibition at Southampton Arts Center. And it's a pretty open-ended topic. It's going to be a show and tell format, which means artists get I'd say 5 to 10 minutes to share. Why don't we say 5 minutes? Because it seems like with a number of people that have their hands up, that would probably be the best bet. So what I'll do is I will start a timer for 5 minutes when each artist starts sharing, and then I am going to give you a warning when there's 1 minute left, and I'll just say 1 minute. So I wanted to just open it up really quickly with a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be doing for a catalog. And can you guys see my screen okay? All right, so I've been working on this with the images from a really great photographer by the name of Jeff Heatley. And he, let's see, proof. So I'll open up the spreads version. So this hopefully should be back to me as a hard copy, a single hard copy for proofing and color matching in about a week. And then hopefully within the following week, it's going to be made available. And looking like, we'll probably be making it available on Amazon as well as maybe Blurb. So it's mostly spreads. We got the group shot here. And I'm just going to open up this session with Helen Harrison's Foreword, which I think is a really good introduction to this topic of and beyond, because it's an interesting take that she has on the exhibition. And I think her conception of what and beyond might be all about wouldn't necessarily be the materials other than digital, but the actual content of the work itself. So Helen writes, in 1928, ruminating on the rapid pace and profound nature of change in the 20th century, the French poet and philosopher Paul Valéry wrote, "We must expect great innovations to transform the entire technique of the arts, thereby affecting artistic invention itself, and perhaps even bringing about an amazing change in our very notion of art." This prediction so impressed the cultural critic Walter Benjamin that he used it as the epigraph of his famous 1935 essay, "The Work of Art in the Age of its Technological Reproducibility," as it was originally titled. These writers and others were pondering the same issues that face the artists who now, nearly a century later, self-identify as Techspressionists. Thanks to digital technologies and the internet, works of art have become, in Valéry's formulation, ubiquitous, as he foresaw. We shall only have to summon them, and there they will be. This level of accessibility requires us to adopt and accept new attitudes towards creative expression. As Benjamin observed, the debate regarding the artistic validity of new media, begun with photography and cinema in the late 19th century, centers on the so-called aura of the singular work of art, and the aura of uniqueness remains powerful. Yet, a digitally generated artwork is not a reproduction in the conventional sense, that is, a copy of something else, though it can be, and often is, reproduced in multiples that are indistinguishable from one another. Handmade versus mechanical, one-off versus duplication. Such binaries ultimately resolve in light of the works of art themselves. By whatever technique it's created, Techspressionist imagery generates its own aura, deriving its authenticity from the artist's intention. Expression is paramount. Technology is merely the delivery system. Jackson Pollock faced a similar concern. Frustrated by the focus on his materials and methods rather than the content of his paintings, he insisted, It doesn't make much difference how the paint is put on, as long as something is being said. Technique is just a means of arriving at a statement. So there we have it. And with that, I am going to open it up. And the first artist to share her work is Renata.
Thank you, Colin. I wanted to say a few words about the Canadian node before I talk about and beyond. We have formed a Canadian node. We have 13 Canadian artists on the index. I was able to have an in-person meeting with Lee in Montreal a week or so ago. And we decided to put together an online show, which will be open to all Techspressionists. The theme of our show is the flavor of maple. So you can interpret that any way you want. And I'm going to have a form put online. Sorry, first of all, we are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. Please, if you haven't already, follow us. We have lots of exciting Canadian content and beyond. So Brazil and France and Iran, they all have, they're connected with us. And I'm enjoying this group a lot. So we want to have our website done by the beginning of July, middle of July at the latest. There'll be a form, a Google form, and there will be a $10 fee, which we're only putting there to weed out people who aren't serious. And if you have any financial restraints, please let us know and we'll work it out, help you, we'll waive the fee. And with that, I will now go to my ideas about the and beyond. For me, Techspressionism is intrinsically and beyond. And I'm going to share one of my video works with you, which is 1 minute in length. Before I share it, I just want to talk a little bit about how I often use means that are meant for one thing and I subvert them and try to break, for example, the structure of the apps that I'm working with. And it's this iconoclasm that is and beyond because it's anti-conventional. Many art tools in the digital are in a mode that is sequential, linear, empirical, and for a concrete purpose. When I shape the art tools for my own end, then I'm putting them into the and beyond. Some artists would rather not say how they make their works, and I'm not one of them. Whenever people ask what tools I've used, I'm really happy to share. And I was actually had the experience where an artist asked me what I used, and I said I'd send him a list. And then we were in a panel or some, clubhouse or something together, and he told the whole group, yeah, and Renata shared all her apps. And I guess some artists feel like there's a bit of constraint, but really no two people are going to use an app the same way. And I start my work with my own work as raw material. So I'm actually, it's like cooking, when you have a bit of salad dressing left over and then you add something to it. And it's that spirit that is how I make a lot of my work. I guess I'm always learning from the last thing that I did. And that's another example of going beyond, because no one's going to make the same choices, and I make them based on my own taste. Another thing I do is sometimes I desaturate my work on purpose, because that's another example of going beyond. I feel that taste has coarsened, and you have to really hit people hard these days. And that's often difficult for me to accept because, pumped up color is everywhere. I just think that subtlety of color requires contemplation, and that requires time. Just a note on the music before I show you my piece. I used a very regular metronome-like rhythm for this one, but I also made the melody in a minor key, and that's another example of going and beyond. it's got a kind of plaintive, mournful quality that belies the regularity of the music. And the name of this piece is, what is it? Land of a Thousand Yellows.
I'm not hearing any audio on my end, Renata.
Okay. Yeah, my bad.
You might need to stop the share and then reshare. There should be a little checkbox that pops up that says share device audio.
Okay. Stop share. Start share screen. Yeah, I tried it before. I practiced a few times and it always went. It says my microphone is off. It says my microphone is off when I go to screen share.
Renata, is it possible the microphone is off on the iPad?
No, because I'm speaking through the microphone right now.
Okay.
It just says the microphone is off, and I'm sorry, everybody. I really did practice this a number of times to make sure that you could hear the music.
You would want the source to be not the microphone probably, but your the program.
Mm. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Renata. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
sharing.
Nice.
Thanks.
All right. So we will move on to Giovanna.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I wish I can share my screen this time. Let me try. Okay. It's always say open system preference for some reason.
And, if anyone does have questions, let's try to hold them to the end just so we can try to get through as many people as possible for the presentations.
Okay, I think, okay, I still have a problem to share my screen. So let me share my YouTube video here. I think Colin can help me open up. I put in the chat.
Gotcha. All right, let me try to share here.
So this is the recent program I use. called My Site. It's a collab with Google. So how it works is like when you type some sentence, and you can also upload your own image. So the image will generate is a artificial intelligence, the AI generated. I think the most important thing I feel like you should need to saw some really good image. And it's very funny because I also have several, but unfortunately I couldn't share my screen here. But it's very interesting that when you when you want to generate something, if you find a good source of an image that, in another word, you have to give them a good DNA. It's not like it won't, if you give them the poo, it will generate like a poo. So I still have it's not like a totally artificial intelligence, which I mean you still need to give them something more makes sense. Let's say if I want to do something like a blue image, so I upload the blue image and I type in we create and the machine learning, and I want to see like how AI will generate that image. So you all see the outcome. So the result is like a human brains with the blue image and also with a hand. And then for some reason, I think that's also they have something like from the Uplock. That's like a logo from Uplock, because probably because of the Uplock is a kind of a pioneering for all these artificial intelligence things. So there is one particular, I like it. Well, I'm not finished yet, but I can share in the chat. So yeah, Colin, can you open this? I put in the chat so you can download. You can share. So that's when I type in. Because I use this is a Metropolitan Museum, the public domain images, the 3 graces. So I upload these and I type in SpaceX to the Moon by Vincent van Gogh. And this is the result. And I think that this is so interesting. And I love this. I still will do some editing. And oh yeah, and the other thing is if you want to play around with this program, I feel like it's still like a high risk, because you need to have a rank, and you also need to have the really a lot of storage because they save on Google Drive, and the people, whoever in that the development team, they can access your Google Drive. So do your own research, and you do need to mind your own risk. But I use like a empty Google Drive, so I don't really care. But you still need to have a better rent to run this program. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's my presentation today.
Okay, thank you, Giovanna. And if there is a link that you could share in the chat to
Oh yeah, sure.
the platform itself or whatever tools you use
Yeah,
to
sure.
do this
Definitely.
experimentation, people would probably
Okay, yeah, let
dig
me
that.
copy and paste here. They have a Twitter, and I think they pinned on the top. Yeah, but I think the one thing you really need to this is deep concern that this is a startup, which means they may crash or something may happen to damage your computer.
Gotcha.
So I already explore and I have experience, but I still remove that program. I think
Gotcha.
it's safer. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Giovanna.
You're very welcome.
All right. So just for anyone who just came in, if you do want to share anything with the group, just use the raise hand tool and you'll be added to the queue. The next artist who is up is Tommy.
Hi, Colin. I'm on 2 machines. I'm going to try to share my screen from my computer, and let me know if this is working. Let's see. Can everybody hear me as this other share is going on? So, gosh, I couldn't pass up a little bit of a discussion of Walter Benjamin, right? Such a interesting moment to just read and reconsider Valéry and Walter Benjamin, or right? Can I just read a little bit? I'm sorry, I'm going to just take up some of my time, not even talking about my work, but I highlighted this part of the introduction to the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, as we call it now, which is this quote of Valéry that starts, and just to like think about this is 1931, he's writing it, right? Profound changes are impending in the ancient craft of the beautiful. In all the arts, there is a physical component which can no longer be considered or treated as it used to be, right? The last 20 years, I'm sorry, which cannot remain unaffected by our modern knowledge and power, right? For the last 20 years, neither matter nor space nor time has been what it was from time immemorial. And I feel like that's the part where we're sort of doing digital and beyond, this sort of consideration of space and time and how technology allows us to reconsider how we understand it. So we must expect great innovations to transform the entire technique of the arts, right? 1931. So I also just want to, just in case you didn't think Valéry was a genius, there's another quote that Walter Benjamin puts in the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, of Valéry saying, 1931 again, just as water, gas, and electricity are brought into our houses from far off to satisfy our needs in response to a minimal effort, so we shall be supplied with visual or auditory images which will appear and disappear at a simple movement of the hand, hardly more than a sign. The sign is read Paul Valéry and Walter Benjamin, because it's really interesting sort of how they're really thinking about our relationship with technology and our understanding of place and time, and really how technology is the way we form our understanding, our conceptualization of what's beyond our immediate sensory observation. So okay, so I've been working a lot, spending a lot of time outside recently. It's beautiful out, and just spending time really and enjoying so these moments of here I am. I'll pull up the one I really wanted to share. I think I'm only going to share one. I always have a lot of work to share that I've been working on, and I've been working a lot. This is an image that I generated today. I shot it this weekend. I spent a couple weekends now in a row going to Columbus Circle, photographing, and notice that there's this tourist bus that goes around. It's called the Ride, and there's windows facing just one side, and everybody's on these seats facing out towards what turns out to be like a series of staged events on the streets.
So 1 minute, Tom.
And, okay, and this event right here at Columbus Circle is this woman who normally has a partner actually dancing with her, going around, and I kind of set up waiting for her to do her dance. And as people passed, I really felt wonderful kind of connection with this series of passing moments. There's also a skateboarder riding around. So that's my meditation on Valéry and Walter Benjamin today. Thank you for your time and attention.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. And yeah, I appreciate that. I was familiar with Benjamin, before reading Helen's essay, but I was not familiar with Valéry and his, the one line in there, that talking about his sort of foreseeing this phenomenon about art, we shall only have to summon them and there they will be. I mean, how prescient is that? You know, it's really
Amazing,
pretty
right?
unbelievable. So, and I see Michael Reese is here. I might do a brief intermission because I know Michael wanted to maybe mention the seminar that is going on tomorrow. I don't know if you wanted to jump in, Michael, or if you wanted to wait till everyone
Yeah,
was done.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Colin, for giving me a little spot here. We ran a we planned and ran a conference. Today was the first day, and tomorrow is the second day, second and last day. It was organized by myself and Michelle Thurs, and it's on YouTube. If you follow me on social media, you can see it on my feed. If you want to check it through the website, you can go to my website, which is michaelrees.org. Rees is REES.org. And tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Michelle will be hosting the platforms part of our conference. I think I mentioned it's called Projects and Platforms. Today we talked with artists and their approach to NFTs. I thought it was a scintillating conversation. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, even though I've been studying this carefully for a while now. And then tomorrow we're going to talk to platforms, and Michelle is going to conduct that interview. A woman named Sophia Garcia from ArtX Code, which is a generative design, generative art blockchain experience. Then also the McCoys, Jennifer and Kevin McCoy, from they're artists, but they also have a company called Monograph. And then finally, Nadia Teja, who is from Snark Art. And I don't know if you guys know Snark Art, but they've produced some really stunning projects in the NFT space. So again, Colin, thank you so much for allowing me to give a little pitch. The best place to go is michaelrees.org, and Rees is REES.org, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. And of course, the YouTube video, I'll post it on my site shortly, so you can watch today's event if you missed it. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. And Michael, Kevin McCoy was basically, he was one of the people that basically minted the very first NFT, right? It was a collaboration between him and
that's
another
correct.
artist.
He claims to have minted the first NFT, and I don't know that anybody's disputed that. So I kind of believe him. I guess I'd say I believe him.
Oh, it's that's what Wikipedia says. Also, I kind of
Yeah.
remembered that name and I looked it up. So really fascinating. And thanks for coming on. Michael's sculptures are in the show. If you hadn't seen them, they're the really awesome inflatable AR enabled works in the exhibition in Southampton. So
Yeah,
thanks for coming on.
I'm so happy to be a part of that show. It's such a beauty. Congratulations, Colin.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Oh, I'm still on. I'll stop speaking.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye
Okay.
now.
All righty. So we're gonna pick up with Holly.
And share screen. Oops. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so now wait, where did it go? Where did it go? Here it is. Okay, this is really very impromptu. So I feel like I have been wandering in the wilderness for like 20 some years until I got connected to you. You have no idea. So I see the world as shapes and patterns and rhythm and color. I don't see it as nouns. And when I was in Stanley in the Falkland Islands in 1999, I saw this city scene and I knew I wanted to make it be my personal impression. And so I used Photoshop to create it. And there it just sat. And the same thing happened when I created this from a windshield driving up the Jersey Turnpike in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And then for me to tell you that I felt completely embodied by Jackson Pollock when I had my camera set up with my remote control and I was capturing these drips and these sprays in the Kearney Peninsula in Maui, it was unbelievable. And then my patron didn't particularly care for my photos that I took. He said it looked like tourist photos. And just by chance, I started to experiment with Nick Silver effects. And the next thing I knew, they put me into their creative pool. And I had created this whole body called Water Music. And 3 of the pieces are in the exhibit. And so sometimes my water was sharp and crisp, and sometimes it was gossamer. And I really imagined how Jackson Pollock felt when he was pouring his paints and deciding upon the thickness of them or the thinness of them, and he was strewing them all over his canvas. Okay, I have this attitude toward technology that I want to humanize it. It's like even Stieglitz said in 1934, if you're going to manipulate your photography, do it for all it's worth. And he didn't even, and digital photography wasn't even established then. Technology is a means by which we can create and present our feelings, our point of view. I am connected to Mother Nature. My work has a very natural bent. And I will tell you, I was so taken by the environment Salon weeks ago. I really would love to see some kind of environmental virtual exhibit be considered, because that is something that it unites us all on this planet. So this is stacked against us. I very definitely wanted the 4 Northport smokestacks to be in this image. And there's the fisherman in Makima who is a lone figure against the smokestacks. For years, I've been creating this image called Crows Over Long Island Farm Field, because I'm so concerned about how urbanization is eating up our lands. And finally, in 2016, I decided to superimpose Vincent van Gogh's Crows Over the Wheat Field over my created image to convey the deepest concern that I have for what's happening to our planet.
That's 1 minute, Holly.
Okay, so I was having MRIs for a torn rotator cuff and my brain was examined, and I thought, I'm going to create from the images that are taken inside of me. And then I created this from Io in Maui, which is down island, not up where I created my water music. And I realized water itself has a different persona depending upon how it flows. So I thank you for letting me share this with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome.
All right. Our next artist is Michael Price.
Thanks, Colin.
Holly, I think you need to stop your share.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
So I appreciated your little story, Colin, that you shared about how and beyond got added to the Techspressionism show name. So I thought that was a really great kind of backstory to all this. But I agree with what Renata stated, that and beyond is implicit, I believe, with Techspressionism name, and I think the sensibilities that we all have in our own unique ways. One of the things recently that I was reading, thanks to Patrick Lichty, was Kandinsky's 2 books that he had recommended a number of salons ago. And Kandinsky, in the book concerning the spiritual and art, he also had some really good insights about moving forward and what he was seeing. And he saw that with the advance of technology and with the advances that we were seeing in science and all around, that akin to some of the things that were happening in photography and elsewhere, that the mechanization could be seen as the there. And Kandinsky was saying, no, it's in the artist's use of the technology is where the there is there. And so for me, I see that as a really, really important thing, especially now today, where AI and other avenues can produce very interesting works. The double-edged sword that I see, and this is something that I value in this group, is in the sense that the artist's spirit and eye and whatever else goes into it is an essential element in working with those powerful technologies, because I find it really interesting and fascinating. But at the same time, if we're not careful in this age that we find ourselves, where there's so much information online and everything, we can become very lazy. And I worry about that. That's something I think that the younger generation can learn from those of us who've had to kind of wrestle with the emerging technologies, to realize that it's not just about getting the end result. It's what of you is in there. And just real briefly here, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
So this is an image that I created recently, again using AI. But what I'm finding fascinating, or what I'm doing that I feel is very different than a lot of other people, is I'm more fascinated by the linguistic quality of some of this AI versus trying to replicate what other people do, or trying to say, oh, I want a beautiful sunset, you know, in this location, this way, that way, and specifying things. I'm using the ambiguity of language to partner with the AI to find interesting imagery. And so that for me is one of the things that I think as artists, as tools become more powerful and bring in new innovations, I think we go through a growth period where you learn about the tools and you use them, and maybe it's in a very straightforward way because our thinking has been regimented on how things have worked before. And these new powerful tools that can go in so many different directions, it's in our creative spirit that the and beyond will keep things new and fresh and continue the artist spirit that we reach back in time towards, knows what's happened before and what we can leave for the following generation. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Michael. Does that piece have a title?
No, it's still a work in progress. So
It's even better, like open-ended. So there's no,
it's not
nothing imposed on it, right?
But yeah. So,
Cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. And thank you for coming up with the theme for today's salon. And that will be discussed at the end of the salon in the after party. Once the recording stops, I think maybe that'll be a good tradition for us to come up with the theme for the next one at the after party. So that way it's a consensus-based decision and sort of groupthink. So Lucy is up next.
Okay, thank you. I am hoping I can, I'm hoping that 5 minutes is enough, and I was wondering, could I possibly have 6 minutes if needed?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. This is a piece I'm working on for to submit to a full dome film festival, a couple of full dome film festivals. I'm developing it as a VR piece. It will be both a VR piece and a dome projection piece, so it's immersive. I'm creating it as a a VR environment and then rendering it for dome. It's called Earth, Tree, Sky, because a tree belongs to the earth and it belongs to the land and it belongs to the sky, and it bridges those domains. It's like it holds the land, it holds the earth, and it holds the sky. So that's the official name. And for the purpose of today, it's also called Below, Above, and Beyond. So that's because it really is, I promise, it really is below, above, and beyond. So I'm just going to play it. This is the 3-minute version. I just couldn't quite get it less than 3 minutes. Okay. All right. So first of all, what you're seeing here is a warped fisheye projection, and the very center is the right above you, the top of the dome. This the lower half is in front of you, and the around the perimeters is the edges of the dome. So it's happening all around you, but I kind of enjoying it as a sort of a warped fisheye projection. So I'm just going to play it. Hoping everybody can hear it as well. So thank you.
Awesome.
So that is the warped fisheye version of it. Then I since I develop it in virtual reality, I also test it in a dome. I created a dome in virtual reality, so I can test it there. And I haven't seen it in a real dome, but it's a very different experience as in a dome. I mean, you are like looking all around you, and then I can you can experience it as the actual VR, where you are amongst the roots. They're like right there around you. You're really immersed in it, or amongst the leaves, and everything is just like moving and swirling around you. And I have to say, all three versions, the sort of swirling fisheye version and the dome experience and the actual VR experience, they're really different from each other. They're really different experiences. And the dome version is only half the experience. It's only the upper half. The VR version of it, you can, when you're up in the tree, you're looking down into amongst the roots at the same time. So it's like the actual VR experience of it is like, twice. It's above and below you. So for me, immersion is something I'm really working with in my work. It's like immersion is a feeling. That is a whole other medium. What does it feel like when it's all around you? So I'm really enjoying and exploring and pressing forward with that. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lucy. Really fascinating work. Next up is Lee Schneiberg.
Thank you so much. And by the way, Lucy, that was just amazing. So thank you. That was just beautiful. I can't wait to try the VR version. Tell me when I'm at the halfway mark, please, so that I can remember to tie it up, so I can bring up something about wonderful going beyond with Tommy's software. But first, I wanted to say about going beyond. Share my window. Okay, share screen. Share the whole screen. Sure, why not? Okay, share. Sorry about that. And where is it? Why can't I get to my screen? I apologize for this. Going beyond. I sort of learned this week, actually today, they cut down the cherry tree in my backyard, and I started to go beyond my regular spastic movements while I'm shooting these panoramas. And I find that what's happened is something I've never experienced before. What I thought was, because it was just a cut tree, but somehow the movements that I've learned how to do with like holding back instead of just being kind of going forward like a wild person, that's given me a whole kind of iconography that I never imagined would show up like this. So that was something that I really wanted to share with everybody. And again, this is like all of these pictures are from one image, but I just been like Pollock, I've been like cutting little pieces of it, and I really find that that's something I've never experienced before. And then wrapping up, the other thing that was really exciting this week was I started to play around with Tommy's software, and it's amazing. I've been mixing my rogue panos, like the angels. I tried that right away, and I have another one which I couldn't find just before today, where the angels are all sort of competing with each other. But that was super fun. And then I went down the street, and Renata, when she was here, we were mentioning the colors of these strange pylons. And so I started shooting with them. But then I got back into Tommy, and it just worked so well together that I've just been overwhelmed by being slow with the camera instead of really fast, and being able to bring out all these sort of more subtle or more controlled movements. And that's it. But Tommy's software is amazing. And last thing, my girlfriend is really smart, PhD in computer sciences, and she built a front end for Tommy software so I could use it. And when she's totally happy with it and it's got no bugs, she wants to send it on to Tommy so that everybody can use it if we get Tommy's blessing. So that was it. That was I hope I did that in the right amount of time. And thank everybody for your for checking it out. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee. And yeah, I think that this idea of collaborative software development for creative use is pretty awesome. It just takes that whole collab concept in a different direction, which I think is really interesting. And it's cool to see you guys sharing, your methodologies like that.
Oh yeah, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful. Tommy's so generous. And Tommy, if I could ever repay you, like today's stuff, I just learned like today, my mind's blown on how like being like, there's a way that you can do these really controlled panorama sabotages. So if I can share anything with you, it would be my pleasure at some time. And thank you so much for sharing and being honest. I mean, generous, and I'm sure you're honest too. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Lee.
Wonderful afternoon, and thank you so much, Colin.
Sure
And,
thing.
see you
Okay,
soon.
we have Ellis up next. So there's Ellis and Lee, and that's the end of the queue as far as I can see it, unless anyone else wants to get their hand up.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, all right, good. Share screen. It'll just be the screen. Okay. So, hello, my name is Ellis Eclipse. I identify as a virtual photographer in the artistic sense. This is very much my first show and tell, and I wanted to start off correctly by just going down a very short timeline of how I went from basically this was my very first piece, Batman Nihilismo, of I believe of 2021, to my most recent creation, the Untitled 1999. So my mother is very fascinated with artists. Our biggest, she's probably the biggest fan of Vincent van Gogh, and she has always supported me through the arts, whether it was cooking or music, but painting was probably the most recent. And she got me a Paint by the Numbers, which is the canvas of this frame. And I was getting into it, and then it kind of frustrated me, not because I just didn't really follow the numbers, but it was mostly because it was very limiting. I had an idea of how I wanted to invert the colors that they gave me and created an entirely different piece. But my mind and my hand was very out of sync. So out of a fit of rage, I just drew a bunch of Batmen. And this is like the most abstract form of Batman, if you can if you can see it. And then that became Batman Nihilismo. And then maybe by January, I started to explore like older video games in their form of what is called a photo mode. A photo mode is a virtual camera that destroys the limitations of a traditional digital camera, basically virtualizing it. And the very first game to create this this virtual camera was a Lord of the Rings game, and this was the very first photo I had taken. It allowed me to invert the colors, adjust the lighting, adjust the zoom, and it basically like free in terms of like a word free cam, move the camera around to the angle that I liked. And this was the very first photo. It has no name, but I actually started liking this sort of freedom that it gave me. So then I moved on to a different game called Watch Dogs 2, in which I took this photo. This was during February, right after the death of one of my favorite aunts, Mary. This actually does have a name. It's called Dream Bridge, and it as painful as it is to look at, I I actually do love it because the environment is based out of a virtual reality of San Francisco. So the dreamy aspect of it is supposed to be the fog that you would find in San Fran.
1 minute.
Oh, sorry. And then I took like a couple of more pictures back into older video games. For still life, I went to Vampire the Masquerade. I actually enjoyed the paintings of still life. So I wanted to see how far virtual food had gone. And this, as you can see, is just hamburgers, fries, and pizza. But the most recent is actually one that I have right now. I have printed this out. It's on a metal print. It's a 24 by it's a 16 by 24. This is called Untitled 1999, and it is my first time that I have explored virtual abstraction. I think I have a larger one right here. Because I like the abyssal look of it, of just staring into space and being zoomed into it.
That's time.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to just wrap it up, feel free. I just want to make sure everyone gets a chance to share, and if there's time for questions.
All right. Well, all I have to say is that I'm very inspired by the Techspressionists in terms of their abstract expressionism and their use of technology. And since most of my art is based out of not only technology but virtual reality, I want to explore it by going forward in this route, and that is my timeline.
Cool. Cool. Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely unique. One thing that is interesting about this this group is just the diversity of sort of means with the way that people put their work together. It's just completely mixed bag of all sorts of different stuff, which is really interesting. So next up is Lee Day.
Evening, everyone. I thought I could share some work I did during COVID. I don't believe I've shown any of this work here, but it certainly goes beyond the surface and into the depths of the streams around my house. Let's see if we're actually sharing. Is that coming up?
Yep.
Okay, good. I don't really have all that much to say. This is, I was stuck inside for COVID and got very frustrated. And one place I could go out and let out some steam was going into the stream next to the house. And it was both a sense of joy and a lot of release. And this is what was produced there. It's all traditional photography in the sense that I'm not manipulating it. It's all close-ups and time exposures. That's the basic technique. Time exposure in the sense that it may only be a 15th of a second, but with the water moving so rapidly, you get a lot of blurring, and you get highlights moving around, and the sun reflecting on multiple surfaces. So, if there are any questions or thoughts later, be glad to talk.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee. Well, I think you are the last artist, at least, that has their hand up, unless anyone else who's in the Zoom would like to share. So I guess we can open it up for questions for Lee or any of the other artists. Oh, here's Patrick. Hey, Patrick. So we're just wrapping up all the presentations, and we're sort of opening it up for questions for any of the artists or just general discussion.
Lee, was your square format native, or did you crop it to square?
It was hard to hear, but I think the question is, did I crop or was it native? I shot with a 35 millimeter, but the intention was always for it to be square.
Okay.
Lee, when you say that it's a time lapse and you're shooting running water, what is the length of time?
It's not really time lapse, it's just a longer exposure, but it's anywhere from a 1/10 of a second, or in some places where the water is moving quite fast, it might be a 30th of a second. But when you're very, very close to the subject matter, it's moving, it's moving through and blurring quite a bit in that speed.
Thank you.
Patrick, you're welcome to share if you'd like. We were just wrapped up everyone who had their hands raised, but if you have something to share, you're welcome. Yep, you're muted.
I wish I was a little bit more ready than I am. I mean, basically I don't have anything, but what I'm really getting interested in is this larger project that I've been working on since 2017. I'm now starting to call AFK. In other words, the idea away from keyboard, and it's just the idea of going out and doing kind of like vernacular 3D scanning and that sort of thing that has this real kind of expressive feel to it. Let me see if I can find one piece. Well, I think actually I'd be fumbling around too much, but I'm doing some stuff in Winona, and it's pretty easy to find on my Instagram feed. But
if you have any information you could share about the IDMA show too, I know that there's a bunch of Techspressionists in the exhibition, and maybe you could let us know when it's opening up and how we can see it and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm curating a show called Weird Media. We have about 90 artists in it, about 15 Techspressionists. It's at the Laird Norton building in Winona, and Nagin and I are working on the materials. There'll be a catalog and an online thing. And let's see here. Let me get the URL out here just for the call to works. It's going to be IDMA Gallery, IDMAArtGallery.org. Probably up by the end of next week, and next week, middle of the next week, and it's open from the 24th to the 26th. And in the beautiful Laird Norton building, we have a performance going on at Broken Records, and we're also going to have we're also building a partnership with the Minnesota Maritime Art Museum, which actually has a very nice early 20th century collection, including some expressionists. And I think in the long term, it might be very interesting to discuss the idea of maybe talking to them about water-centric work that Techspressionists are involved with, that this might be something that they may be interested in. They say, in other words, I met with the basically, I was just with the director right now. And we were talking about, how we can hook up with, with the show now, but they're very interested in possibilities over the next 2-3 years. And, but with, all water-based material, indigeneity, all these sorts of things. And, that's kind of the thing there. I think actually what'll be really good is that I'm hoping maybe we might have a couple short things online before, but let's see here, is that might be able to actually show you the website in 2 weeks and give you a full view of what's going on. But anyway,
Nice.
great. Yeah. So anyway, and I'm really, really happy that I'm number one, I'm really happy that I was able to, support the project by including, a bunch of Techspressionists. And I'm really happy to the Techspressionists who, when I think I mentioned it, and I know Nagin mentioned it, and then we're, got on the call and put your stuff in. And the one thing is that I did actually give, the Techspressionists, a lot of consideration, because I wanted to, what you were saying, and beyond, and so the thing is that, okay, this isn't a huge showing, but it's another nice sized exhibition, where we have some more Techspressionists in it. And I'm hoping that, we can just keep, putting down the stepping stones, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. That's awesome.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Patrick.
And let's see here. This is the third one at Winona State. The first one was curated by Christian Paul. The last one was Mark America, and I'm doing this one.
I don't know if you guys are doing the any kind of Matterport capture, but if you need a contact at Artland, I could pass on my contact who shot the show in Southampton, because they're distributed. I think they send people out to shoot, and they were pretty affordable.
How much?
$450 for the whole.
Oh,
shoot.
That's great. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, right on.
Okay,
Cool.
super. Okay, thanks, man.
Sure thing. I actually have a question for Lucy. So you mentioned that that piece that you're creating is going to be, viewable in VR and also projected onto a dome. Could you tell us a little bit more about both of those aspects? Like if you say, like, you have a VR headset, is there somewhere that you'd be able to go and experience it? And then also with regards to work that's viewable within a dome, like what sort of facilities accommodate work like that?
So my first intention is the submission for the Dome Film Festival, two film festivals, and they both will be showing, if I'm accepted, and I don't know if I will be, but if I'm accepted, it will be shown on a planetarium dome. So that's the setup. Most of these sort of like the big planetariums, it's seated. It's a seated dome, so there's a clear forward. You can look around, but there is a forward. But there are also domes which are for standing or lying, so you can be, standing all around, facing any direction easily. So in creating something for a dome, it's a good idea to have a front, a forward. And many experiences are designed that way, but myself, I really wanted it equally designed for being fully immersive. That's just as interesting no matter which way you're standing. So that's a little bit about the dome. For VR, I'm developing it in VR. It's a VR experience, and then I render it for a dome. It needs a bunch of optimization before it's ready to actually put out there on a real platform. especially say for a quest or something. So that is, I'm going to need a bit more time for that. It's not my first priority right now. And yeah, I guess I would make it available maybe on the Oculus platform or marketplace. Probably, yeah, I haven't really thought how I would make it available. It would definitely be, say, on the Oculus marketplace, not in a VR social environment, because those platforms are much more limited. And yeah, what I have so far is just a bit too heavy. I really need to, well, I don't know. It just isn't going to work in a VR social setup.
Gotcha. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for any of the artists who presented today? Just shout it out if you have anything, or if you just have a topic of conversation.
I have a question for Ellis. I was wondering what Ellis's next step is, given what he's shown us today, where he plans to go next, what his next photograph might be. Is he still on?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, great.
My next, I guess my next like little solo exhibition that I'm going to put on my portfolio is going to commemorate my birthday, my 27th birthday, because at the age of 17, in high school, I struggled deeply with mental health issues, and on my birthday will be the 10th anniversary that I tried to take my life for the second time. And I want to kind of commemorate it by learning more about GIMP, so I can learn how to do a photo collage, and at the same time bring up awareness to suicide prevention and other mental health issues. I don't think I never really imagined I would get this far in life, but at the same time, I definitely have a deep appreciation for life thus far, and that's my next move.
I think that sounds like a remarkable project that
Yeah.
will benefit many, many people.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We can also certainly open up the discussion to ideas about what would be a good jumping off point for the next salon, which would be 2 weeks from now. If anyone has any suggestions, we certainly can discuss that while the quote unquote camera is still rolling.
Well, I mean, I think that we could definitely take you on a little tour of the of the IDMA website, of the IDMA gallery website. Hopefully that'll be done. Keep you in touch with that. And actually, you know what? If I can share just a second.
Now, the theme of that show is weird media, right?
Weird media, yeah.
Okay, I mean, that could be an interesting topic for the salon to sort of build off. I mean, we'd sort of be stealing your title, but
no, you know what? No, hey, I'll tell actually that that would be that would be fantastic. Just as kind of as long as we say it's kind of it's kind of hooked in with the in other words, just kind of we're going to talk about this as kind of as a little bit of a topical touch on the Weird Media show. That's great. That's fantastic.
Cool.
And we've got some of the artists who are in here, and that's fantastic. So, and by the way, one thing really quick, if I can, is that I'll just share this. This is what I'm talking about. So what this is the central fountain in Winona. And this is, Princess Winona, the, one of the, a Sioux princess who, threw herself into the river, nice colonial story. But the thing is that basically one of the things that I was interested in is basically I scanned this with my iPad, and you can see there's some glitching to it, and I think which is really interesting. And then basically took AI with Photoshop and replaced the sky. That was just gray. But I mean, the idea to me, I think, is that the expression and the gesture of, just basically going out someplace and creating by moving through a space and capturing it and then bringing it home and then making a piece of work out of it. As a process, I really like this idea, and it's starting to really solidify. So there you go. That's what's
Cool.
kind of beyond for me.
Thank you, Patrick. So consensus, what do you guys all think of this idea of weird media as a theme for the next salon in 2 weeks? You down with that? So, you should all bust out the work that's the weirdest. Like I think that what's interesting is like the work that challenges the notion of what art is. I mean, I definitely feel that if I start to think about this Techspressionism project as a piece of social sculpture versus something else, then I start thinking about what it could be in a completely different set of ways than looking at it as a collective or an artist group or any other sort of label, like, looking at it as art, that everybody can sort of move in the direction that they want. And that's really exciting to me to hear about the Canadian node and the flavor of maple. Interesting. We have a lot of maple products here in Vermont, which I've been getting very, very hooked on. Specifically the maple creamy, which is maple soft serve ice cream.
We Canadians consider it a birthright to always have a can in the fridge.
Nice.
Nice.
Here's the flavor of cheese. So that's all right.
Anyone else want to broach the topic of and beyond and or weird media?
Yeah, well, I just want to say because of the NFT.NYC is upcoming in 2 weeks, we actually can do like a special virtual session. That's a very good way to explore to more collectors, maybe. And I also have some past that the several startup they contact me that if you are in New York City, you want to join some event that I can get a pass. Just mingle with people.
Cool.
They do have a lot of people go there, and the ticket is so expensive. you don't want to get ticket.
Giovanna, like what I've found is Instagram chats are a really good way to just pull people together from within the Techspressionist community. That's kind of like how the nodes first started getting organized. Is I thought, well, here's the index. I could see all the people right in there who are from Canada, who are from France, and just started chats. So like, if you want to get people together who are physically in New York City, you can go down to the New York section of the artist index, see who's in New York City, and just start a group chat with an Instagram and say, hey, anyone who wants, like a ticket, like I have a few comps or whatever, you know what I mean? So, and I think that that's a really good way that we can use the index as a way to organize. Like I got a message from there's two Isaiahs, apparently. There's two different organizations called Isaiah, but one of them is doing a conference down in Florida, and one of their people reached out to me and said, hey, are there any Techspressionists that might be interested in teaching a one-day workshop in Fort Myers? So I just literally like copied and pasted all the Florida artists in the index into an email, and she reached out to a couple of them, you know what I mean? So I think that trying to organize in a localized way, using things like Instagram chat, which are just pre-built for us already. You know, I mean, if Mark Zuckerberg is going to be sucking the life out of our souls and taking all of our personal information, we should at least have some benefit from Meta's products. I'll probably be blacklisted for life by being on a recording saying that, but that's fine. So yeah.
Colin, I can't see you anymore. I can't hear you.
I will be
Where'd you
wiped
go?
from, it'll
Colin.
be stricken from the record. Well, it's being published on YouTube, which is a Google platform. So I don't think they'll have any problem with trash talking Meta products.
He'll get promoted.
I did, and I think I DM'd you about this, Patrick, that I've been corresponding with your pal Roman.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he actually lived downtown and hung out with, like, you know, Motherwell and all of the old school Abex painters. Like, he's like the missing link, this guy. You know, it's pretty remarkable, just his background. And, you know, it looks like he's, you know,
And he was a Benedictine monk.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So I guess the Verasco Center for the Arts is at the college where he studied to become a monk, right? Yeah. And, you know, so he mentioned that, you know, he's open to the idea possibly of there being some sort of a Techspressionist show there at some point in the future. So that would be amazing.
He's a really kind, generous person.
Yeah, I mean, his work, you know, was some of the work that really inspired me early on. And you know, I remember seeing it long before I ever, you know, was really involved in anything to do with this project. Just the idea of someone taking calligraphic brushes and mounting them in a plotter.
Well, yeah.
You know,
I mean, I saw this stuff in 1994. As it's like, I'm looking at this, I asked him, you know, said, would you mind, you know, could I be your student? He says, no. And I said, oh, okay, well, and then I said, okay, well, I'm going to go figure this out myself. And he's basically said, that's what I want you to do, Patrick.
Yeah, he mentioned you specifically. We've exchanged a couple emails, you know, and I was sort of urging him. I was saying, well, would you mind if we listed you in the Techspressionist Artist Index? And he said, well, actually, I identify as an algorist, but I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I think it's important. And I respect that. You know, I feel like the algorists really were the first organized computer art movement, right? I mean.
Well, I mean, if you want to kind of talk about things like that, you know, you could probably maybe talk about EAT maybe as, yeah. And then also there were the people in Zagreb, you know, the new something with Vera Molnar and that sort of thing. And they were around the same time as, you know, but Vera Molnar is also an algorist, you know, so I mean, it's like, you know, so that's, yeah,
as far as isms go, like that, they were probably the first ism to arise out of the computer, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and then there was, you know, I mean, there was that thing that came out, that I said the thing that came out of Zagreb, but I mean, it's kind of like saying like the new objectivity, you know, out of photography, you know, and that sort of thing. So in other words, it was kind of an ism, but that had a name to it, you know, kind of like new media, you know. So I mean, it's like, you know, one of the first, sure, exactly, definitely.
Right on. Well, it's been really really kind of cool to be able to correspond with that guy.
Yeah, he is
90 years old, you know, right? 90?
He's 92.
Yeah. 92.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And and makes amazing bean soup.
Nice. Well, if you guys are able to tune in to Michael Reese's thing tomorrow, it should be a real interesting one with the McCoys. Definitely, Casey Rees today was like pretty incredible to see and listen to, and hear about his development of processing and show some of his personal work. It's like really witnessing some cool history in the making. So with that, it looks like it's just about 7:05, so that puts us at an hour and a half mark. And I guess I will count us down until the next salon, which will be on, let's see, the 22nd.
Super.
And that will be Weird Media.
Great.
Awesome. So we will stop recording in 3, 2, 1, and